Okay, it looks like we are live. So let me just jump into the chat. All right, I hope you guys are ready to learn a whole bunch today. So I've got some good stuff for you. Now we've still got some time, so I'll just wait while people are coming in. And I would love if you could let me know if you're able to see my screen, which will be the Book More Weddings screen, and if you're able to hear me okay. Nothing's worse than running a webinar and realize you're talking to yourself the whole time. Okay, I think things are looking good. So for those of you just joining, make sure you log into the chat using either your Facebook or your Twitter account. It won't do anything weird like post to either of your accounts, but it will allow you to use the chat feature that I have set up here for you so that you can interact, you can ask questions, and what I would love from you is a quick introduction. Who are you? What do you do? And where are you located? Perfect. Everybody is able to see and hear. Okay. I see that Claire with any last name starts with an S. Claire Spake has just joined. Hi, Claire. We are going to get started in just a moment, but just take a moment to introduce yourself. So we've got Claire McIntyre in the UK, who is a wedding photographer. Awesome. Karen, of course, owner of Rock the Frog. Jody is a milliner making bridal headpieces and veils in East London. Claire Spake is in the UK as well and designs wedding stationery and does design work for wedding businesses. That's really good to know. Jane is also a photographer. Awesome. It's just good to know a little bit about you guys. That's really helpful. Okay, so we'll probably have a couple people joining us because there's been an email just going out saying that we're live. But why don't we jump in? They can catch up. So today we're here to talk about how to book more weddings, right? And I have 4 steps to help you finally attract more couples and book more weddings. And I have a question for you. What if, instead of struggling to book weddings, you could attract all the couples you need? Now, at first, That might sound like a pipe dream, like a fantasy, like something that couldn't really happen, but it could. You just need to know how to do it. And what would that mean for your business? What would that mean for your life? What would that mean for your mental well-being, and knowing that you know what's going on, you're on top of it, you know where your money's coming from. So it's something I want you to keep in mind while we go through this. And I will do my best to keep an eye on the chat, but Karen is in there as well, helping me out with that. So let's talk about what you learned today. You learn the one key difference between wedding businesses that struggle and those that thrive, the 4-step process to booking more weddings, the one foundational piece that most wedding professionals neglect that can render your marketing useless. You learn why blogging is so important and what you should write about, and how to make turning potential clients into paying customers a whole lot easier. So, you might be thinking, who's this woman in my ears right now? I am Heidi Thompson, and I run a business called Evolve Your Wedding Business. And I'm all about helping wedding professionals with their marketing so that they can live freer lives courtesy of their businesses instead of being a slave to their businesses. So a little bit of context and backstory of how I got to where I am. As you can hear, probably, I am an American living in the UK, and when I was still living in the US, I got into event planning. And I got into that in the nonprofit sector. So I was working for nonprofits like the American Red Cross, working on some really incredible fundraising events for them, and I absolutely loved it. Everything about events and marketing them, it was just so much fun for me. It wasn't even like work. And then I was fortunate enough to land an assistant position with a local planner in the Metro Detroit area. And while I now know that wedding planning is not for me, too much stress on the day, but I have to give any wedding planners here credit for that, I totally fell in love with the industry. I love this industry so much. And when I moved to the UK, I was working in marketing, but not in the wedding industry. I was the digital marketing manager for Sendable, which is a London-based social media startup. I was also the digital marketing manager for the University of Cambridge department that focuses on teaching English as a second language in schools all over the world. And I love marketing. I geek out on marketing. I'm a huge marketing geek. But I was missing the wedding industry. So I started to look around, and I saw a gap. I saw a gap between what was being shown to couples in wedding media and on a lot of wedding professionals' websites, which is very generic and plain and traditional, and what they were actually doing. And what they wanted was much more personal and quirky. So I decided to create the Alternative Wedding Fair in London, and it was a huge success. It was so much fun. But I found that I was spending a lot of my time coaching my exhibitors on really how to make the best of the event and on their marketing, both before, during, and after. Because I wanted to make sure they got a good return on investment. But what I didn't realize, and what completely slapped me in the face and still makes me laugh to this day that I ever had this assumption, was that not everybody studies marketing in their spare time, like I do. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but I really just kind of assumed everybody else did that because I was interested in it. So that's when I knew I had to do something about this. This industry was calling out for help in marketing. These people were amazingly talented, not making the money they deserved, and I had to know how to help. So that is when I founded Evolve Your Wedding Business. So there's a little bit of what I've done where I've been featured. A couple places, Wedding MBA, Rock and Roll Bride, Book More Brides, Photo Business Tools, all in trying to get out there and connect with wedding professionals like you and help you with your marketing. So there's one key difference between wedding businesses that struggle and those that thrive. Those that struggle have not adapted to this new world that we're living in. And things have really changed a lot. It wasn't that long ago at all that marketing was entirely outbound. And what I mean by that is that marketing consisted of getting on a pulpit somewhere and screaming your message to people who may or may not be interested in what you have to say. That's pretty much what people did. And the only way that you could reach people was in the few mediums that we had, through television, through radio, and actual print. And then search engines, blogs, social networks came along and really fundamentally transformed the way that all of us purchase products and services, which is great. But the problem is that most wedding businesses are still using the same old outdated and inefficient marketing methods, and they're not working as well as they used to. Even if they are using tools like blogs and social networks, they're using them with that old school outbound mindset, and it's just not working. Inbound marketing, on the other hand, brings clients to you like a magnet instead of chasing them around and screaming through a megaphone. Think about it. When was the last time you actually bought something from someone based on them using an outbound marketing tactic like cold calling you, or an ad, or a door-to-door salesman? This just isn't how we buy things anymore. So I wanted to include this graphic to really illustrate what I mean here. Outbound marketing, standing on the rooftops with a megaphone screaming to anybody and everybody who will listen in the hopes that a couple of them will want to work with you. Incredibly inefficient and expensive. Inbound marketing, on the other hand, focuses on drawing people to you, and not just any people, the right people, the people that you actually want to work with. So the problem, of course, is that a lot of wedding professionals don't know how to adapt to this new way of marketing because, like I said, I learned that normal people don't study marketing in their spare time. And it's no longer enough to just put up a website or get your name out there and hope that someone contacts you, because hope is not a marketing strategy. That's why I created a 4-step process that's going to help you book more weddings. So let's dive into it. I'll just check on our chat real quick. Okay, looking good. Here's a quick overview of the 4 steps. We're going to be diving into each one in much more depth, but step 1 is the foundation. Step 2 is building a blog that draws customers in like a magnet. Step 3 is get couples salivating over the prospect of working with you. And step 4 is getting couples to say I do to you. And that's just not a cutesy wedding way of phrasing that. There's a very specific reason why I worded step 4 that way. You'll find out in a little bit. A big part of your marketing foundation is defining your ideal client. And your ideal client is that client that you absolutely love working with. If you could just clone this person and work with them every day, you'd be the happiest person alive. And that is who you want to focus on working with. Because your business is not for everyone. That's actually impossible. Even Apple, one of the most profitable countries, it seems like a country, companies in the world, has its haters, has people who just aren't fans. And you know what? They don't spend their time marketing to them. Because if you focus on only who it's for, you're going to be able to win the hearts and minds of them. And you'll be able to get them to want to work with you. Now, if you're thinking that, oh, okay, my ideal client is brides or grooms or couples or any large, broad word like that, I want you to know that that's nowhere near specific enough. That's not what I'm talking about. Your marketing and your website should focus on only these specific people that you narrow it down to. Because, like I said, you can't make everyone love you, but you can make your ideal client love you. I want you to think about this for a second. If you had a heart attack, would you rather go to a cardiologist or to a general doctor? I would rather go to a cardiologist, and I'm willing to bet that you would too. And your customers want that specialist in you as well. You can become the go-to person for your ideal client because they really do want that specialty. And if you're known as, let's say, the go-to planner for quirky, fun, laid-back weddings, people who want that are going to flock to you naturally. And you're going to make yourself a lot easier to find and a lot easier for people to get to know you and come across you and think, yup, this is the person I want to hire. So I want you to think about your ideal client for a moment. And I want you to tell me in the chat box below. Number 1, what wedding vlogs do they read? Number 2, how would you describe their personal style or their personality? And number 3, what brands and what products do they love? And these don't have to be wedding related. Now, if you don't know the answers to these questions, that's okay. Just take a guess, because taking a guess is going to at least get you started down this road of thinking through who this person is, where they spend their time, what they like and don't like. So let me head over to the chat here. And Karen, I would love to hear from you on this because I know you probably know the answers to these questions. And you are very tuned in to your ideal client, and everything around your brand is. So again, those questions are, number 1, what wedding blogs do they read? Or if you don't know, what wedding blogs do you think they read? Number 2, how would you describe their personal style or their personality? What type of people are they? And number 3, what brands and products do they love? And keep in mind, these can be any brands and products. They don't have to be wedding specific. It still tells us a lot if you can say this person wears only designer brands and is really into Jimmy Choo, or this person only buys things that are eco-friendly. I'm just going to grab a quick drink here while I wait for you guys to share your answers with me. So Karen says her ideal client reads blogs like Love My Dress, Rock My Wedding, Rock and Roll Bride. They're probably into alternative or vintage fashion and lifestyle, and they love shoe brands like your regular choice. Oh, I love those shoes. But that tells you a lot. Even just saying it's the type of person who wears a regular choice shoes, that tells you a lot about them right there. Claire McIntyre says that they read Rock and Roll Bride. She would describe them as creative, quirky, and vintage. And that's important because that tells you how you really need to communicate with them. So if someone is creative, quirky, and vintage, you're going to communicate with them in a different way than someone who's very traditional. Karen, that is a great insight. They care about the ethics of a business and want something unique that reflects them. I think we're seeing a lot of that. Now, for me, when I showed you that slide of places where my marketing advice has been featured, you better believe I chose those places because those are the blogs that I believe or know that some of my ideal clients do read. Okay, I hope you can see how this really is going to, it's going to be your compass for your marketing. You have to know who you're trying to reach and what that person is all about before you can figure out how to market to them, because we're not just going to stand and scream at them. Jane says slightly alternative, creative, also enjoys design, like photography and art. I like that. It's important to know. Jody says her ideal client is about the same as Karen. Love my dress, rock my wedding, rock and roll bride, and into retro, vintage style, handmade, and creative. And, you know, once you know these things, this gives you other places where you can reach your people. So we know the weddings, of course, but someone who's into vintage style is going to be reading vintage style magazines, and that is a perfect place to put yourself either as an advertiser, or you could always propose writing an editorial column. I write an editorial column in Attire Bridal. Claire, my brides love that I get they're crazy. They usually buy stuff at flea markets. That's awesome. That's so good that you know that about them. So this gives you a little bit of a jumping off point. You can go even outside the wedding industry and think about, you know, the other brands that they enjoy. Like Jane said, her ideal clients also like design. So that is going to impact the places where you can potentially reach them. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because you guys have some awesome things to say. But I'm going to keep moving because I want to respect your time. So this is just a little quote from Michelle Navanti from Bay Area Wedding Planner. She said, "When I started Book More Weddings Academy, I was feeling really lost and overwhelmed because there are so many things that you can do to market your business. I just didn't know where to start. After going through the course, I was able to get really focused on who I wanted to work with, and that made things so much easier to manage because I didn't feel like I was trying to take on the whole world. I'm getting more phone calls, and sales are so much easier because it's like I'm just talking to a friend. It's actually fun now that it's so much easier." Step 2 is all about building a blog that draws customers in like a magnet. And you may have heard that you should be blogging. I'm not the biggest fan of being told I should be doing something and not being told why. I have to know why everything. So I'm going to assume you want to know why too. And I want to share with you why blogging is so incredibly important. First of all, Google loves fresh content, and more blog posts means your site will have more pages indexed by Google, which really helps your SEO and helps you be found. Your blog helps really demonstrate your expertise because anyone can say they're an expert, but you can actually show it. And according to an unbiased survey of over 14,000 people married in 2011 by Splendid Insights, which is a great resource for market research in our industry, they found more important than a website is an updated blog. Your website is your business card. The blog is the conversation. For example, 85% of Ritzy B's clients hired them because of their blog. And then those clients refer via word of mouth. Your blog also gives people a reason to come back to your site because they're not going to come back and keep looking at the same old stagnant pages if there's no new information for them. And it allows people to get to know you and get to like you, which of course is super important because studies show time and time again, and if you look at your own behavior, you'll probably see that we only do business with people that we know, like, and trust. If you have blog posts, you can then use social media to drive traffic to them. And that makes your social media incredibly useful for your business. When you have interesting content, your website visitors are going to spend more time on your website reading it. And that means that they're going to learn more about you and what you have to offer. And when you position yourself as a resource by creating helpful blog posts instead of just a service provider who's out for the transaction, you become much more valuable to your potential customers, and you really set yourself apart from the competition. In fact, I have someone who went through Bookmore Weddings Academy. She is a cake baker, and she had somebody at a sales consultation say, "Hey, we really love your work, and yeah, we're hiring you on that, but really, the thing that tipped the scales is that your blog posts are just so helpful. It shows that you really give a damn about your customers, whereas everybody else is saying, essentially on their blog, look at me, I baked a cake, and here's some pictures of it." And you also have to keep in mind that your website visitors may not be ready to book you right now. Think about how much research goes into planning a wedding. But if you give them a reason to come back, they're going to remember you when it's time to buy. And when you build a blog, you build an asset. And that will bring you customers for as long as you have it, unlike other things like paid advertising. That's only going to bring you customers for as long as you pay for it. Now, there are even more reasons why blogging is truly one of the best things you can do for your business, and I could sit here all day and tell you about them, but I think you probably get the point. So I want to hear from you on this. When it comes to blogging, people often get hung up on what to write. So to get your brains churning out some ideas, tell me in the chat one of the most frequently asked questions that your clients or potential clients ask you, because these actually make for fantastic blog post topics. For example, when I get a question about anything, it goes into a list of potential blog post topics. I had a question a while back about how to use Facebook ads. What's this whole Facebook ads thing about? So instead of just responding to that question, I responded to it, but then I took what I said and I crafted a blog post out of it. Because if someone is asking you that question, it's more than likely that they're just the one asking it, but a lot of people are thinking about it. So let me know, what is one of, or give me more if you got them, the most frequently asked questions that your client asks? Karen, that is an important one. Karen just said she gets asked, when should I buy my dress? And the great thing about, if you were to write a post about that, and you may have actually, is that when someone searches that, they may well come across your blog post. That's the kind of thing someone types into Google. Who else? What are those frequently asked questions? The ones you get over and over again. Claire McIntyre says she always gets asked who she can recommend because as a photographer, she spoke to pretty early in the process. And you could take that and break that into several posts. That way it's doing more for you than, say, maybe just a list would do. Ross Dean, who is a photographer who went through Bookmore Weddings Academy, often highlights other vendors on his blog. And it essentially serves that purpose. It's someone who he would recommend. And it's helpful to his audience. And guess what? The person you wrote about is going to share it. Claire Spake, when should I send invitations out? Should I send a save the date? How can I combine all of these? If I have for my wedding in one design, okay. And I bet, Claire, you probably get a lot of questions on wording, too. I worked with a client a while back, and we put together something. It was a downloadable PDF guide that people could sign up for and get her guide to wording, essentially. Like, if this is the situation, go for this. If this is the situation, go for this. Claire McIntyre, I get asked so many things. That's good. Start making a list. Because if they're asking you, it clearly shows that they have an interest in the answer to that question. And for instance, what Claire Spake said, when should I send invites out? Should I send a save the date? When you're answering questions like that on your blog, it clearly shows that you know your stuff and that you're a professional. Anyone else got any frequently asked questions? Should I wear a veil or not? That would be an interesting one to delve into on a blog post. Great point, Karen. Karen just said, I used to make the mistake of thinking that blog posts had to be really long, but they don't. Short and sweet is fine. Yeah, this or that kind of post could be really interesting, actually. Awesome. Well, keep them coming. I am going to move on here. So step 3 is get couples salivating over the prospect of working with you. Every part of your website influences your sales, and that means the way that you describe what you offer can either increase or decrease your sales. Now, every page needs to be working for you and serving a purpose. And I mean every page, from your about page to your services page to your contact page to the blog posts that you write. And testimonials, believe it or not, can actually do a lot of the selling for you if you use them properly. And the biggest mistake that I see people make when it comes to testimonials is, and this is just an honest mistake, it's just emailing your clients and asking them if they could write a testimonial for you. Now, this doesn't sound like it would be a huge deal on the surface, but that's because you're the business owner. They don't know what you want and what they should include, what they shouldn't include, and how long it should be, and what should they really talk about. So instead, send them questions to answer. Send them questions like, how did you find me? Why did you choose me instead of the other photographers that you were looking at? Explain your experience of what it was like when we first started working together. How did you feel after we worked together? Was there anything that you were concerned about during the process? What types of people would you recommend me to? Then you're going to get the answers to these questions because they're direct, and you can use them to craft your testimonial. And of course, you want to ask for their approval once you put these into a sort of paragraph formatted, typical testimonial style. So make sure you send it back to them for their approval, and be sure to ask for a photo to add to it. I can't tell you how many testimonials I see that are just text. And in our online world where everybody's a skeptic, that doesn't cut it. Anybody can just write some text and put quotations around it and say it's a testimonial. But when you put a photo of a human being next to it, that you can clearly tell is not a stock photo, it suddenly creates credibility. And it also creates relatability. Like, they can see themselves in that person's shoes. Step number 4, I told you getting couples to say I do to you is not just a play on words. Because sales is really just like dating. It's pretty much the same thing. And you wouldn't just walk up to someone in a bar and ask them to marry you, right? Then you shouldn't do that to your potential clients. You need a game plan for taking these potential clients from total strangers to totally in love with you. And that plan is called a sales cycle. Step by step, they move through your sales cycle, getting to know and love you and your work more and more, and getting closer to being ready to work with you. And the real beauty of having a sales cycle like this is that you can actually systematize it so that it's simpler to make sales. Who doesn't want simpler? There are actually a lot of parts that you can put on autopilot, so you don't have to touch them. That means that even during your super busy wedding season, there can be people moving through your sales cycle without you having to do a thing. When you have a sales cycle that turns potential clients into paying clients, you can focus on bringing in leads and doing the work that you started this business to do. You can even refine it over time so that you're only focusing on marketing where you generate the most leads. And that's going to make your marketing and your life a whole lot simpler. So I wanted to show you what my sales cycle, kind of in a nutshell, looks like if I were to lay it out. So first, the prospect discovers me and visits my website. This could be through anything. It could be through a blog post I wrote, a guest blog on another site, a social media post, doesn't matter. They come to my site. That's step 1. Then they see one of my free opt-in offers and signs up. And by the way, this is the most important part. Then the prospect automatically gets what was promised to them. Whatever it was that they signed up for goes out automatically. And then they enter into an autoresponder series of emails. And if you're not familiar with that terminology, all an autoresponder series of emails is a series of emails that you write ahead of time and that you put into an email marketing tool, and you tell the tool, okay, I want this one to go out the day that they subscribe, and then I want this one to go out 4 days after they subscribe, and so on. And you can use those to build trust and credibility, and I include opportunities to work with me. After that autoresponder series finishes, the prospect starts just getting my regular weekly emails with tips, my blog posts, and opportunities to work with me. And here's the thing. They'll get my weekly emails for as long as they are subscribed to the list. And even if they never work with me, they're valuable because they spread the word to others. I have people on my email list who've been there for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and are just now choosing to work with me. I have people who've been there for that long who have never showed an interest in working with me, but constantly retweet things that I put out, share my blog posts, so they are helping me get in front of more people and get more clients. So it's not all about just the people you book from this. So here's another visual just to demonstrate this sales/dating process. So first, they don't know you exist. Then the prospect has heard about you but doesn't care about you yet. They're not invested in you. Next, they've heard about you and are kind of interested in hearing what you have to say. Then they might compare you to competitors, and then they become a customer. This doesn't all happen at once, and that is the way that a lot of wedding professionals are marketing, as if it does happen all in one go. But you can't try to get married on the first date. So this is a big topic, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, but I want to give you something actionable because it's important to me that you have some actionable things you can take away from this webinar. So I want you to think about what a prospect needs to know before they book you or before they get in contact with you. What pages on your site do they need to see? What questions do they need answered? And of course, you can answer those questions in the form of blog posts. Are there any objections or preconceived notions that they have? One I hear a lot from wedding planners is that sometimes their clients, before they got to know them, thought that only famous people hired wedding planners. So how can you address those objections and knock them down one by one so that you're blazing a clear path for this person to say, all right, yeah, now I want to talk to you and see how we can work together. Jody, yes, you can. Oh, sorry, Karen, you answered that. Yeah, you can come right back to this link and watch it here. So think about what questions do people need to have answered before they're even ready to get in contact with you. Now, in my business, they need to, a big misconception is that marketing costs a lot of money. And that's something that I have to work to clear with people. And I do that by writing blog posts that show that actually you could do it in a very expensive way, but you certainly don't have to. They also think sometimes that it's just enough to post on social media. So I need to dispel that. And I have posts that go into this whole sales is just like dating idea. And it's for that reason, because they need to know that and they need to understand that before we can work together. So Karen says they need to see my dresses and my website, where we are. And I would also say, Karen, they need to see, like you said, how long before do I need to order my dress and how to get in touch. Claire McIntyre said they want to get to know about my personality and lifestyle. Then they want to see my work, and then they want to know about prices. That's great. And you can do this in an email marketing tool, like I said in my process. The way I do this is by sending out these automatic emails. And you can lead people through this process. You can take them on these little dates so that when it's time to verbally pop the question, they're ready. It isn't just, whoa, you're just some random person. And actually, I was at a wedding this weekend. Two of my friends got married. And one of them was saying to me after the ceremony, I asked her how she found the venue because it was quite off the beaten track and not really anywhere near where we live. And she said, we looked at a lot of places, and it was the case with the venue as well as all of the other vendors, that it came down to just having that personal connection and feeling like they really understood and were supportive of what it was they wanted to do. So they went on to book the people that they clicked with. But people can't click with you if you don't give them an opportunity to get to know you. Claire, I use Whybro as my email marketing tool. A lot of people use MailChimp. It's just as good. MailChimp has a free starter plan as well, which can be helpful. But I think I pay all of like $20 a month. Jody, they need to see examples of my work, bespoke bridal pieces I've made for other brides, how long it takes to get a bridal headpiece. I think the bespoke ones are important too, because they might think, awesome, I can get something totally custom made. I have no idea what I want. Be interesting to share that process with them too. Okay, so do you see how powerful this can be if you apply it to your business? Imagine having the confidence that comes with truly being in control of your marketing and sales process. I want to share some results with you. This is from Ross. I mentioned him earlier. He's a photographer. He said, when I implemented what I learned from Heidi, I found a lot more people were getting in touch with me via my website. Using the process I learned in Book More Weddings Academy, I was able to turn these people into warm leads and then into physical in-person consultations. See, kind of the dating thing going on here. When you focus on marketing to them over time, you've built a really good level of trust with them by the time you sit down with them. They already feel like they know you, and that makes your job a lot easier because you don't have to go into a hard sales pitch. And this is from Jacqueline, the cake maker I mentioned earlier. Heidi's Book More Weddings Academy helped me figure out exactly what I was doing wrong in my marketing and exactly how to change it. After going through her course, I now have confidence in my sales process. I no longer feel like a cheesy salesman, and I'm actually converting more leads into sales. Email marketing is now a very big asset for my business and has been instrumental in booking more clients. Heidi taught me how to blog properly, and now I'm coming up much higher in Google rankings than my competitors. A year ago, I gave myself a deadline. I could not believe this when she told me this. If after a year I was still in the same place in my business, I would close it. Now, I'm in such a different place that closing my business isn't even an option. I have my plan now, and I know where I'm going. Now, I know I'm on the right path. Just so you know, Jacqueline started Book More Weddings Academy about this time last year. She did not tell me about this deadline thing until a couple of months ago. And her a year ago and her now are just two totally different people and two totally different businesses. It's incredible. But let's talk about you. You're obviously here because you want to book more weddings, so you have a decision to make. Are you going to continue doing the things you've always done and getting the results you've always got, or would you prefer to take the shortcut and use a well-engineered, proven, step-by-step system for booking more weddings? I want to introduce you to Book More Weddings Academy. It's my complete step-by-step system that will take you from struggling to book weddings to attracting and booking all the weddings you need. It's the fastest way to go from struggling to thriving. Book More Weddings Academy is made up of 12 modules that will take you through the 4 steps to booking more weddings that we covered today. And there's a lot more to it than just the course. But let's look at the course just so you know what's involved. So step 1, as you recall, is the foundation. And module 1 is all about how trying to appeal to everyone is sabotaging your business. You'll learn why defining your ideal client can make or break your business, how to find your ideal client, and then build a marketing plan around that, when to say no to customers who are wrong for you, and an awesome free tool to help you learn even more about your ideal client. Module 2 is figuring out what you really sell and why people love you. And you'll learn how to determine what you really sell. It's not what you think. And how to figure out why people buy from you so you can use that to amp up your marketing. You'll learn how to figure out what you're an expert on. And yes, you are an expert. And how to use that expertise to then set yourself apart from the competition. Module 3 is setting yourself apart from the competition and thinking collaboratively. And you'll learn how to figure out what sets you apart and how to use that difference in your marketing so that your competitors don't stand a chance. You'll also learn how to analyze your competition and identify potential partners. In Module 4, you're going to learn how to use the KLT factor to book more weddings and why it's so important in your business. You'll learn exactly how to use the KLT factor to book more weddings and how you can use your own superhero origin story in your marketing. And you have one, and I will pull it out of you. You have one, trust me. Step 2, building a blog that draws customers in like a magnet. Now in Module 5, we have building a blog that draws customers in like a magnet, Part 1. And you'll learn why, really, blogging is the most important thing you can do for your business. How to smash through the excuses you may have for not blogging. How the location of your blog can actually affect the impact that it has on your business. And we'll go deep into what to write about. In Part 2, you'll learn how to create your simple blogging strategy. How to write great posts, even if you don't think you're any good at writing. How to get your blog posts in front of your ideal client, and how to measure the success and impact of your blog posts, because obviously you want to see if this is working. Step 3 is get couples salivating over the prospect of working with you. And in Module 7, we'll talk about how simple tweaks in the words you choose can increase sales. Like we said, they can either increase or decrease. So you'll learn how to improve your sales by tweaking your sales copy and how to demonstrate the value of what you do so that you get fewer price shoppers and people are happy to pay what you charge. You'll also learn how to describe what you offer in a way that gets your potential clients excited to buy. Module 8 is how to get couples drooling over the idea of working with you. And you'll learn how to prove to them that you're a credible professional. This is a concern in the wedding industry. So you want them to know that you're someone they can trust and not an amateur who's just going to take their money and run. You'll learn how to get testimonials that do the selling for you and how to get referrals from your customers. You'll also learn why you need a great FAQ page and exactly how to create one. Step 4, getting couples to say I do to you. And in Module 9, you'll learn how sales is just like dating and what that means for your sales cycle. You'll learn how to define your specific sales cycle for your business and systematize it so that it's easier to make sales. You'll learn the simple changes you need to make to turn your website into a lead generating machine and the best tools and tips you can use to generate more leads. Module 10 is all about generating leads, or how to rock that first date with your potential customer. And you'll learn how email marketing can turbocharge your sales cycle. And don't worry if you're not the techiest person in the world. This is easier than you think. And I'll show you exactly how to set it up so that you can start collecting leads. You'll learn what to offer in exchange for your potential client's email address and how to promote that offer so you can build a list of people who are interested in working with you. Not interested in working with someone, interested in working with you. Module 11 is about nurturing your leads and making the sale. We're going from casually dating to saying I do. And you'll learn what to do with all of these leads you're now bringing in. How to demonstrate how awesome you are while providing value through your email autoresponder and regular emails. And how to convert your leads into customers and loyal advocates for you. And in Module 12, we'll be measuring your success. You'll learn how to track where your customers are coming from so you can focus your marketing on just those sources. How to determine your best traffic sources and then what you should do with that information. And how to determine your most popular content so you can do more of what works and less of what doesn't with your blog. Like I said, it's not just the course. It's a lot more. You get lifetime access to all 12 of the modules, a private members area to access and download all of your course materials, 6 group coaching calls where I'll answer all of your burning questions, help you get past any stumbling blocks, and make sure that you succeed. You'll also get recordings of our group coaching calls. So if you can't make a live call, no problem. Just submit your questions in advance and then listen to the recording when you can. You'll also get access to the members-only Facebook group where you can connect with your fellow students and alumni, some of the people you saw today, and ask questions, share your challenges, get some feedback, swap success stories. The value of all that is $1,997. But don't worry, you're not going to pay that much. And because it's important to me that you punch marketing overwhelm in its big ugly face, I've included some more bonuses. So you're going to get my super simple blogging system, which is a full play-by-play of how I produce, distribute, and email blog content to my list. So you can watch the whole process over my shoulder, courtesy of the screencast. You get the Wedding Marketer's Toolkit, which is a complete guide to every system and tool I have running in my business. And you'll get a how-to for each of my favorite tools, including Hootsuite, Evernote, and my personal best friend for life, Buffer. If you're wondering how you're going to get the word out about these awesome new blog posts you're writing, don't worry. You'll get your blog promotion checklist, and that's going to give you the rundown of everything you need to know about promoting your blog posts, from how to get these shiny new blog posts in front of your ideal client to how to automate that to make your life easier. And because I hear from so many wedding professionals that time is a problem, getting things done is a problem, I'm including my Productivity Hacks Handbook, which has my favorite tricks and tips to kick procrastination and overwhelm in the backside and make the most of your time. You'll walk away with a proven system in place that brings in new leads and helps turn them into customers for you, a clear picture of who your ideal client is, what they need, where to find them, so that you can focus on attracting them and only them. The confidence that comes with being in control of your marketing and sales, and a sales process that is much simpler and easier. And that means no more hard sales for you. The confidence in where you should focus your time and your money. The know-how to measure what works so you can do more of what works and less of what doesn't. A mentor, that's me, to advise you, and a group of your peers to support you when you're feeling stuck, because we all hit those points. You'll have a better, more genuine way to sell that makes you feel, well, it doesn't make you feel, rather, like a used car salesman. You'll have the structure to stay on track with your marketing and not fall off the wagon, and a system for generating more inquiries from potential clients who are ready to invest in working with you on their dream wedding. So I know what you're thinking, right? How much is this going to cost me? Well, what is the cost of all the bookings that you're not getting right now, that are slipping through your fingers? The total value of everything included in this program is $2,385, but you won't pay anywhere near that amount. You will only pay $997, and I'm even offering a payment plan to make that easier on you. You'll recoup the cost of this program in no time and find that it pays for itself time and time again over the life of your business. And for many of you, you're going to recoup that cost in just booking one, maybe two additional weddings. I'm also offering 100% money-back guarantee. So let's say you join Book More Weddings Academy, and if at any point within the first 30 days you decide this just isn't my cup of tea, that's fine. Just shoot me an email and I'll give you your money back. Because I like having happy customers, and I tend to find that people who are paying for things that they don't want are not the happiest people in the world. So now you have a decision to make. You can continue doing the things you've always done and get the results you've always got, or you can take the shortcut and use a proven step-by-step system for booking more weddings. But know that Book More Weddings Academy is only open for enrollment through September 28th. And the course begins on the 29th. To enroll in Book More Weddings Academy, visit bookmoreweddingsacademy.com/join, and you'll be taken to the page where it'll have all the information about it and you can join, or you can just click the button below this video. And once you sign up, you'll get a confirmation and you'll set up your login details to the members area. So, I want to know if you have any questions about anything I've covered today. About Book More Weddings Academy, about any of the steps I covered, about anything. Just enter them into the chat box and I'm happy to answer them. Oh, let's see. Caroline asked, do you always take people's details at wedding fairs? I think you should definitely collect people's details at wedding fairs, and you should offer something in exchange for that. And that's essentially what you learn in Book More Weddings Academy to do on your website. So ask for their details, say you're going to email them something. That's not too pushy. That is an exchange of value. Claire, that's a good question. We have short-term clients because once they're married, they won't need us again. Won't it drive them nuts if we keep unintentionally marketing to them? Well, when you sign up for any email list, it's called an opt-in. You're opting in, and at any point, you can unsubscribe from that list. So they are free to do that at any point. Oh no, everyone's kids are freaking out. Oh no. Thank you, Karen. That means a lot to me. Caroline, I think the answer to your question, does anyone advertise in magazines, networking groups, online directories, and do they really work, can really be boiled down to you have to have your website in lead generation mode so that people who are coming from online directories, so that people who are coming from wedding magazines, you can, I hate to use the word capture, but capture their information and then market to them over time because you don't want to get married on the first date. So yeah, they can work, but you have to approach them in that way. Claire McIntyre just asked, when will the next course be starting? Well, this one enrollment is open until September 28th, and the course starts on the 29th, and there's a payment plan, if that helps you. And keep in mind, the price is in US dollars, so you're better off because you're in the UK. After that, I don't know when I will be offering this next. I haven't planned that out yet. I have only been offering it once a year. I'll offer it once or twice next year. Karen, I think if you took a magazine out that linked to a specific landing page where people could sign up to get something like their guide to vintage wedding dresses, that would probably work for you, or at least a lot better than just the standard magazine ads that we usually see. Yes, Leanne over at Splendid Insights has a lot of really interesting data. I am going to convert the amount from US dollars to pounds right now for you guys because I know you're all in the UK, which is actually better for you. So the price of the course in British pounds with today's exchange rate, mind you, these things change, is 609 and 1 pence. And of course, the conversion is going to apply to the payment plan as well. And I'm just going to put that conversion in the chat. Claire, would you like me to send you a message here, or should we talk on Facebook? Sorry if you can hear me tapping away on my keyboard. So yes, right now the British pound is real strong against the US dollar, so it works out in your favor right now for anyone considering. So I don't have any questions about absolutely anything I've covered today. And if you do, you don't realize it until later, that's okay. You can always drop me an email. Karen for it, or it's Heidi, Heidi, at evolveyourweddingbusiness.com. And I'm a night owl. I will definitely be in my inbox tonight. Okay, I'm going to hang here for a few more minutes just in case anybody has any questions. But Karen, I want to thank you for connecting me to these awesome people who are here today. And I hope that this has been helpful for all of you. Okay, Karen, I hope you are feeling better soon. I'm going to wrap up the webinar, but I'm going to keep this chat open. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be here. Thanks so much, Karen. I hope you feel better. And thank you for everyone for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I hope this has been helpful. So like I said, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and I'll hang out here for a bit.